After they struck with Oreshnik, the Ukrainians realized trouble. They might also hit the banks. By the way, insider information for you. In Russia, someone had such plans. I won't name them. Putin said, by no means. They were ready to get ready to strike. If they had hit the decision-making centers with Oreshnik, nothing would have been left. What did Trump lose there, Putin? They had different roles. The fact that he invited him to Alaska, well, I say it's somewhat exotic but beautiful. Putin called me before saying Rome, Geneva, Turkey, Emirates, and so on are being discussed. I said, well, going to Rome is a bit for us Orthodox, right? He said, I understand. Well, they rejected all these points, he says there. Well, let's wait for what the Americans propose. And the next day Trump called, says, listen, how about Alaska? They agreed. Two presidents, absolutely understanding each other, met in Alaska. And there was no argument at all. It was fine. I was even surprised, thinking I never thought it would be possible to meet in Alaska to discuss these issues. It's simple, no need to make a big event out of it. What role did these two presidents play? Well, it's clear. This was a mediator, and this is one of the conflicting parties. Why blame Trump for not bringing any specific results? Because Putin could talk specifics, but he did not find it necessary to do so diplomatically. This is in line with his character. Diplomatically, there will be a meeting with President Zelensky, or there will be something conclusive for this. Not just your position, then I will say, he did not talk about it. You heard his speech about history, about common things there, Alaska. What is it? But Trump surprised me. I think he will now, as usual, proceed. This was discussed. I agree, disagree. He's smart. 4 minutes. Well, that's what you say, journalists. One says 8, another says 4. Very true. And outwardly, he played his role excellently. It's not because I stopped criticizing him after that conversation, no. But he played his role brilliantly against all expectations. I also expected that he would go off and start spouting specifics. It's none of his business. He behaved really well here. Well, it's true. They later leaked some information to the media, as we also know how to do, about territories and so on. And then I understood, especially since Trump couldn't talk about it, could he really talk about exchanging these territories? Absolutely not. Well, the media leaked it to the American ones. And talking to Putin, Putin tells me, well, the Americans, you read it, right? He says, the media leaked it. I say, don't worry, they leaked it and that's that. But it will still be discussed at some point. So no one lost anything there. The fact that Putin flew in and met with Trump, these are two countries on which life on our planet depends today. God forbid, if all these nuclear warheads we have explode, the planet will go off orbit. Therefore, this is a completely normal meeting. Normal. There is no need to reproach either one or the other. First of all, based on the role played by the two presidents, As for the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, they are essentially on the table, as diplomats say. It's like gather tomorrow and discuss these issues. But you see the statement.
Putin. Yes, we agree. We stated long ago what we want.
Today, Volodymyr Zelensky says one thing, tomorrow another, the day after something else, just like Donald once did in the morning and evening. He makes these contradictory statements. Well, the Russians see this. And today, Russians are thinking, is President Zelensky ready for negotiations or not? They believe he is not ready. Well, probably, based on his statements, this can be understood. But you must understand that besides this statement in the media, this smokescreen, which both Volodymyr Zelensky and the Russians can professionally create, and the United States of America, Europeans too, there's plenty of smoke. There's this behind the scenes, under the table, closed hustle going on. You didn't know either. We were negotiating, talking with the Americans. No one really. There were 5 wars. There were 5 meetings. The 5th one a little. The Americans agreed. We don't mind. Well, if you want, we'll show it. If you don't want, we won't. Also, very important issues were being resolved. The same way, this is now being agreed upon behind the scenes. And there are also some rumors that Zelensky is ready for a territorial exchange. This is the position of the United States of America. They sensibly take a reasonable stance that today's realities are such that if territories are not exchanged, Ukraine might disappear tomorrow. And if the Ukrainians do not accept the Americans' proposal, well, Donald Trump is the kind of person who might just tell them, go ahead, fight. But without America, without American money, and especially weapons, victory is impossible. I asked Putin a question. Listen, can Europeans really not supply weapons to Ukrainians without the Americans? They study Russian so deeply. No, without American weapons, Europe cannot fight at all. Can you imagine how much they relied on the United States not developing their own military-industrial complex? Yes, there are some tanks. A few, there is something else. Even nuclear weapons, but only about 1/5 to 1/7 of Russian weapons. So they have it, but only for themselves, as Ukrainians say. That's why Donald behaves this way. Sometimes it's not nice. But what? Did they become dependent? Now endure it.